Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Is this the end for Roman Reigns? I'm Ollie Davis, this is Luke Owen. Welcome to the WrestleRamble review of Backlash 2018. One of the worst WWE shows in recent memory. I hope we don't get another one this bad. And we're going to kick off today talking about the main event of that show, the last match, whose enduring image will be people leaving the crowd as soon as the ending comes.
And throughout the match, indeed.
Yeah, so I haven't seen this video. You wrote about this in your news.
Well, so a video has been sharing around online from a Twitter user named Ray Falcone, who recorded during the
Ray Falcone.
Falcone. So during, I don't know which chinlock it was. It could have been any number of the 20 chinlocks in the match. But during one of the chinlocks, he was kind of panning around. I would say, Ray Falcone, if you are watching this, hold on a certain image for a little while before just like whipping round, because you don't get the full impact otherwise. But either way, it's like Kevin Dunn filmed it.
They never think of the poor guys trying to get images from their videos for wrestling news videos.
Speaking of which, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today is a bank holiday in the UK. One of us was going to end up working anyway because we always want to provide content for everyone
days
here.
off.
No days off, Luke and Ollie. However, one of us would have been able to have the day off here. You were actually going to have the day off. You were going to be spending it with your lady partner's mother because it's her birthday.
And other people.
And other people.
It wasn't just me and my lady partner's mum.
I would say for her birthday. With other people, yes. I should clarify, with other people. But because of Backlash, we had to come in here. But WWE never think of the little person, do they?
No.
They never think of the little people who have to watch these awful shows and then come in to talk about them.
I mean, it's a toss-up. I don't mind Backlash if that's. I'm kidding. I love the other side of the family, my adopted family.
But anywho, so Ray Falcone filmed this video, and it was people leaving the arena during the match, and it wasn't like he called it a ton of people. It wasn't a ton of people, but it was noticeable groups of people getting up and leaving, and there were just empty portions of seats, especially on the hard camera side, but also on the other side as well, against the hard camera. So there was a lot of people walking out. And my favourite moment of this show, and I've watched it several times now because I had to get the video clip, I had to get an image for it for the news, but it made me laugh at the time anyway, was when the bell rung and Kevin Dunn went to the crowd to get a reaction shot. It was people standing up and walking out. Like, literally, it was like, bell rung, everyone gets up, and it's just like, it's like a sea of people leaving. But there are two schools of thought to this. One is that, people were walking out because it's a Roman Reigns match, and it was a boring match anyway, but like a very, very boring match, so people were leaving a protest against Roman Reigns. However, the other school of thought is that the beat the traffic chant was to be taken literally, because the show went, I think, 34 or 37 minutes longer than the 3 hours it was meant to go. So there were people who were like, I need to go home. And
got work tomorrow.
Exactly, I've got work tomorrow. So there were people who were leaving just because...
It's a school night.
Exactly, because so there were a lot of people who were leaving... Well, one of the schools of thought is that people weren't just leaving because it was a boring match and leaving because Roman Reigns won and leaving because Roman Reigns was in the main event. They were leaving because the show went long and they had to go and beat the traffic.
I'm curious about the quantifiable name you've used for these. So Falcone has said tons. You said seas of people there.
Well, in that one shot that Kevin Dunn accidentally managed to grab, it was like a sea of people leaving.
I think it's a drove.
Okay.
I think we got droves. People left in their droves.
I like it.
I don't really know what a drove is.
No, exactly.
But I feel like this is the time to use it.
This is good. I like these quantifiable words for numbers.
And there's also collective nouns, which is a fascinating naming process in themselves. What is the collective noun for WWE fans? A universe of people left.
Exactly. Perhaps it was. Although, there were two lads down at the front who had crazy haircuts. I mean, I'm not one to talk because I have no hair. I mean, you and I are both balding men.
We're jealous, really.
But there were two lads who had like crazy hair who were super into Roman Reigns, and they were super into him winning as well.
Well, as I said, it's a conservative estimate to say when you've got 100 people in a room, one of those people is going to be an idiot.
Well, actually, saying that, I mean, I put up this morning on Twitter, Backlash was a show, a pretty awful one, lol, lol.
Hot take.
on this
It's
show.
the sort of stuff you can get if you follow Luke.
Man.
It's much better. The WrestleTalk official Twitter account, I would say it's better.
You reckon?
Yeah, it's really good.
I mean,
Go and follow them.
I mean, I would agree. But I did get one tweet out of all the people replying to me, like, I also think this was a bad show. Yeah, apart from the opener, it was a pretty lousy show. But I did get one person, the chairman of the board, Jer Personen, did tweet me back to say, like, oh, I thought the show was great.
Oh.
So there's always going to be that one person who thinks that Roman Reigns is great or Backlash was a good show.
That is fascinating. So, yeah, and everyone's entitled to their opinions. I would heavily argue that this was a really terrible show, though. I can't find much salvageable. The only good thing, really, was the opener, like we said, the Seth Rollins versus Miz match, not the Bayley versus Ruby Riott match on the pre-show. But that's, like, as great as that was, where does it go now? Because those two people are on different brands. This isn't going to continue a story. It doesn't really set up anyone else. There wasn't a Finn Balor run-in. So it's like, oh, it was just a good one-off. And that's probably been the main criticism of Seth Rollins. He has these incredible matches, but the creative behind it really isn't there to help him out. But the Roman Reigns Samoa Joe match, we're saying is this the end of Roman Reigns? And this isn't doomsaying now. This is one of the clearest indications that Roman, post-WrestleMania, is not over anymore. And it's not like he has been over in the way that Vince McMahon wants him to for the last 4 years. But now it really feels like he is past it. It has jumped the shark to the level where it doesn't work now. And this was the real nail in the coffin for me. Losing to Brock at Mania, as shocking as it was, it's effectively killed Roman's character and the appeal. And now you are getting these boos, but the worst thing is indifference and apathy when people walk out of matches. And this had Samoa Joe in it. And I was so excited to see Samoa Joe. He got a really good promo earlier in the night where he said, I'm going to turn the big dog into a whimpering puppy, which I thought was a wicked line. It got a reaction from the crowd. And then the match started off really hot.
Yeah, it did. And that's where I thought this match was going. I thought it was going to be like a SummerSlam.
Yes.
Let's just carnage round ringside and let's build this up. But then it just turned into chinlocks.
Chinlock City.
Yeah, and just rest holds. And I've heard a couple of schools of thought.
Your schools
that's
of
my
thought
phrase
right
of the day. Some people
He's such
are
an academic man.
I wrote a book. No, I'm kidding. I've seen a few people say that the theory as to why this match was nothing but chinlocks and rest holds was that people would boo Samoa Joe because he's putting on a boring match and therefore would cheer Roman when he makes his comeback. And that didn't really work. That didn't really sort of come across because everyone was just... They weren't booing Joe either. They were booing the match. They were bored. They were chanting... There were various chants. There was, this is boring.
Yep.
Delete. Rusev Day.
Of course.
And Beat the Traffic. And CM Punk. A chant I'd imagine we're going to hear at the next pay-per-view as well because it's emanating from Chicago.
Which probably means he's returning, right?
Well, that's what I would assume.
Yes.
Yeah. CM Punk return confirmed at WrestleTalk.
And Samoa Joe, he started off so hot, and when he puts Roman through the table right at the start, so he attacks Roman as he's not celebrating, but doing his ring post poses, and when he gets off the post, Joe attacks him, throws him outside, puts him right through the table with an Uragu, and then throws him over to others. And Joe just looked like the meanest Emma effer on the planet. The ferocity he showed in his face, I was like, holy moly, this is why this has gone on last. And then they get into the ring, and then the bell rings, and like you said, Joe just toys with Roman. A few punches here, rest hold. A few punches there, rest hold. It wasn't even like Roman Reigns was coming back and then getting cut off. And it just falls down from a match psychology perspective, like you said, and just a believability perspective. If Joe, if you treat this like an actual match, and Joe is this psycho killer guy who's really intense, and he puts Roman through the table right in the get-go, why would he not then win as soon as possible? Coquina clutch right away, chokes him out, or muscle buster as soon as you've hit, as soon as the bell rings. At least an attempt. But he doesn't. He just toys around with Roman, for like 15 to 20 minutes.
This match felt like it went on for a long time.
It was maddening.
And like in my notes here, I was like, Joe hit the Uranagi through the table in the first 30 seconds. He then throws him over the table. Match finally gets started and grinds to a halt as they do rest holds and the crowd chant for CM Punk. Like it literally, as soon as the bell rang, turned into rest holds.
Yeah.
Like it's incredible how it just ground to a halt as soon as it started.
And it just doesn't make sense
No.
from any just, yeah.
Look,
but
Joe does a dive, they go back to rest holds. Like, there was a few moments where they were like, oh, big spot, straight back into rest holds.
Yeah.
And just killed the crowd. And this crowd they just got killed and killed and killed as this show went on. It started off so hot. Like, the pre-show, Bayley got a great reaction. Ruby Riott got a great reaction. Rollins and Miz tore the house down. It was like a massive crowd reaction throughout it. But as each match went on, and the terrible finishes across this show just kept coming and coming and coming, by the time this match came around, the crowd weren't into it, and this just killed them further. It was absolutely. You're right. Actually, the perfect word for this. It was maddening.
yeah, this was, and I really don't like it when people say, "Oh, this was a really bad crowd tonight." Come on, show some passion. It's WWE's responsibility to put on a good show for these people who have paid money to come and watch them.
Yeah.
It's not like that is such an entitled, reversed way of thinking. It's so yeah. This was 19 minutes of Joe working over Roman in the most boring way possible, and then Roman hits a spear at the end. After there was a few Superman punches here and there that drive by normal spots, and then just one spear for the pin, or there was an earlier spear, wasn't there? But Joe got his foot on the ropes.
Yeah, and there was a Kikina clutch, which it looked like Roman was going to pass out
Yeah.
from. It was like his eyes were rolling into the back of his head, but the referee didn't call for the end of the match, and then all of a sudden he woke up, and as soon as he woke up and rolled it over, the crowd booed.
But if that school of thought is actually
Good
true,
phrase.
yeah, and the idea was to get Samoa Joe booed so you would cheer for Roman Reigns, what on earth is happening? You are having to kill other characters who are over to get this one guy over a little bit.
Yeah.
Like as a knee-jerk response over, not a genuine emotional connection over. It's just, this is now, that we sounded like broken records for years on Roman Reigns, and so did everyone else. And then I think there was the year of 2017 to 18 where, okay, we're accepted it, they're telling this main event story. It's not an intriguing story, but it's well told, actually. And then WrestleMania happened, and it's just a waste of a year of storyline and character building. And then after WrestleMania, I think all that dissatisfaction with WWE has come rushing back, and their choice of a top guy. Roman Reigns, I'm sure he's a lovely guy. He's a fantastic in-ring wrestler. But it's WWE's portrayal of him and their booking, which has just crushed him. And it's dangerous to keep building everything around him in the main event.
Yeah, no, I mean,
It's got to be the end now.
Well, as I said, I mean, I'm in complete agreement with you here. I mean, I've said over the last couple of shows, the swerve at WrestleMania, for the sake of doing a swerve, because everyone was expecting Roman to win, no pun intended, screwed the pooch. Because now, no one cares. He didn't win at WrestleMania. He didn't win at Greatest Royal Rumble. What has a win over Samoa Joe done for him? Absolutely nothing. So Samoa Joe, who is programming himself into the main event of SmackDown, going for the WWE Championship, like, comes out of this match looking like a complete chump because he worked over the match for 95% of it. He was in control and then lost in the 5% that he wasn't. He just looks like an absolute loser now, which means he's now going to go and face AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, who then get downgraded as well, because then the WWE Championship gets devalued if he starts beating them. It's really, really awkward. Bad night for SmackDown as well, because Miz lost. Basically, if you're a Raw guy, you get to win. And if you're a SmackDown guy, apparently you don't, at least in the brand v brand matches, I guess. But it was just just a bad night for Joe, a bad night for Roman. And man,
Bad night for the promotion.
Bad, and that's what I was going to say, and a bad night for the promotion. A really, really poor show. And you and I feel like, and someone actually really pointed this out in the comments, which I thought was a really, really funny take on this, is that after WrestleMania, you and I said, like, we just need to get Raw after Mania out of the way, and then we can start off this. And then it was like, cool, well, we just need to get the Superstar Shake-Up out of the way, then we can start moving forward. And then it was, we just need to get the Greatest Royal Rumble out of the way, then we can start moving forward. And then it became like, well, okay, now we've got Backlash. Let's just get Backlash out of the way. And there's got to be a certain point where we just go, I don't know what the future is. And if the future is still... And I think that Roman's going to be the next challenger for the Universal Championship.
Oh,
he's still going to be the guy that dethrones Brock Lesnar.
They've got to switch it to Braun Strowman.
But I don't think Braun's the right guy either. And I argued this on my Saturday video. And again, this is not Braun's fault. The way that the company have booked Braun is that he is a guy who gets a hot tag and then runs wild. The problem with Braun now is that it's almost like no one is can beat Braun. So you're going to have to like bring him down to everyone else's level if he does become champion. I guess. I don't know. But like for me, it's Rollins is the guy. Rollins is the guy that we should be building this company around.
A Rollins babyface and a heel Roman Reigns. But if on Raw tonight, because I really can't see where Reigns' character goes from here unless he turns heel.
I'm telling you now, he's won this match. He's going for the Universal Championship. He was screwed at Greatest Royal Rumble, remember?
Yeah. If Roman turns heel tonight, though, or in the next couple of weeks, and loads of people go, it was all a big plan all along, WWE worked you. No, that's not how this works. You can't, like, do away 6 weeks or 2 months worth of terrible storyline with, but it was all because we were going to swerve you in 2 months' time. No, because a lot of people will have turned off. And I genuinely believe off the back of this, and this is the damaging, really worrying part of the audience who don't vocalise their frustrations like we do. They just turn off. And they're like, I'm kind of over wrestling now. Like... loads of 14-year-old boys, they're all on that precipice where I could carry on secretly liking wrestling, or I could, go out and do other things with my life now.
And it's not just this match. I think this show is full of those sorts of moments where you're like, I don't know why I care about wrestling. The Daniel Bryan thing I could talk about for ages, because that I thought was an idiotic decision on multiple levels. The finish to the AJ Nakamura match, it's like... we'll go into this in greater detail when we do the full review, but it was just like every single match is like, I care less, I'm caring less, and I'm caring less. And this is a show that could be, it's like WrestleMania X7, that moment when people are just like, you know what, I'm done watching wrestling, actually, I'm going to take a little bit of a break from it. And there's always that worry after Mania anyway.
Yeah, so should we get on with the whole review? So at least we started off with a positive.
Yes, let's get some positives out here, because we've been negative
We're not
Nigels.
all doomsayers.
No, because we've been negative Nigels for the first 18 minutes of this show. So let's talk about something that's really positive. This opening bout between The Miz and Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental Championship was ace.
Yes.
It was great.
It feels like it happened a month ago.
Yeah. This
was just very, very good stuff. Rollins continues to have matches of the night on Mondays and now Sundays. I thought this was it was a fine match, but from the knee injury spot on the apron onwards, it was really, really good and elevated the entire thing from a 3.5 to a 4-star match overall.
I completely agree. I just thought this was a really, really fun match. Some really great spots in there. Some really good storytelling, particularly, as you said, after the knee strike into the corner when he tries to do the revelation knee.
Is that what it's called?
Well, that's what Corey Graves calls it.
The revelation knee.
No, revolution knee.
Revolution knee.
Because he spins them around. Not sure what good it would have done doing it on the apron, because you're kneeing them in the face, not into the match.
It's the hardest part of the ring, man. They'll fall back. Ooh.
But it's like when Baron Corbin did that chokeslam backbreaker on the ramp. You're like, he still just landed on your knee, mate.
On the steel ramp, the soles of his feet hit.
Remember when Paige used to do the what was her submission called? The Rampager or something?
Yeah.
Something like that. Or that might have been her DDT or whatever it was. But anyway, she used to do her finishing move, but she'd do it on a table. And you're like, whoa, they're off the ground. How is this
It's
hurting
the
anyone?
elevation, man. It's gravity just pulls you down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
it's probably hurting Paige more because she's not on a flat surface. But there was some really, really good stuff. And then after that knee spot into the corner, when Seth was selling the knee, there was just some really, really great moments there, particularly the second kick out of the skull-crushing finale.
The Skrulls.
The Skrulls got involved. The Skrull crushing finale. It's It's a match to say, like, hey, man, look how great Rollins is.
I really bought into that second fall because when they hit the first skull-crushing finale, I was like, yeah, that's definitely not the finish of the match, and Seth kicks out. But then, I can't remember what happened, but then he hit the second skull-crushing finale, and I was like, oh my god, how are they... My mind's already going, but the Intercontinental title and the United States title can't be on... He kicked out. Okay, that was a good near fall.
Yeah.
But I thought that the best bit of the match for me was where Miz dodged that Revolution knee or whatever it is, a V trigger, into the ring post. So Seth really clobbered his knee there. And then he rolls into the ring immediately and he's selling the knee. And Miz, quick as a whip, runs in there and gets the figure four on him.
Yeah.
And that got over huge and everyone was super into Seth's pain. But Seth just like abdomen crunches up, looks right at Miz's face and just goes like, "Arr!" and does a teeth gnashing snarl and reverses it. He reversed the polarity, Luke.
It was perfect, like, from all three sides of this, because Rollins' selling of it was great. Because he's there, he's frantically trying to get to that rope, he's trying to get to this rope, he can't get to this rope, and so he's like, oh, I've got to ab crunch out of this and power my way through. So he powers up, he grits his teeth, and Miz all of a sudden, then it cuts to Miz going like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh dear, now I'm in trouble. And, like, so the combination of Rollins' performance, Miz's performance, and the direction and the camera work to capture those moments really told that story well. I thought it was a really, really cool spot. And, oh man, can we give, like, just a bit of a standing ovation for his frog splash? The Rollins frog splash is
great.
so great.
He launched himself quite a way there as well.
He landed in the second row, I'm pretty sure.
Do you remember there was a period of last year where every Seth Rollins match was based around selling the knee? And after a while, it was like, I don't care about his knee. It's like someone cutting a promo on anti-bullying charities after a match. I just don't care about anti-bullying promos now.
We'll come on to that.
Yeah, but it's been long enough. I was super into Seth's knee selling, and the cherry on top was the usual superplex spot into the Falcon Arrow, and when Seth goes to hit the Falcon Arrow on Miz, he sells the knee and he can't get Miz up, and that was when Miz got that skull-crushing finale, I think. It was really, really good stuff, and it ended with a curb stomp. Out of nowhere.
Really, really good. My only other note from this is, you know that lad who's always in the front row with the long hair?
Yes, with his mum.
He goes to every show with his old dear. He was wearing a American flag hat at quite the jaunty angle.
Well, he's a cool guy.
I've never seen him wear a hat before, but when he wears a hat, oh boy, it's jaunty.
It's over, isn't it?
it was jaunty. It's all I can tell you.
Probably a better angle than most of the angles that took place on this show. Next up, it was just completely downhill.
Oh, downhill from here.
It was downhill hard.
If you don't want to hear us be negative for the next half hour, I mean, I'd stop watching now, to be honest.
Yeah. So Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss, and this was kind of the pattern for the night, in that the person who was going to... Well, that's not true, actually, because Carmella won. But the less threatening of the two opponents would dominate the entire match, like 90% of the match. Bliss took all of this when all the crowd wanted to see was Nia do some monster moves and squash her.
Yeah.
But it went on 10 minutes of Bliss just working over Nia, rest hold here, slap here. Nia looked rubbish, and I don't say that lightly. And Bliss throws her outside and then takes forever to get her in. Nia just got nothing and then won at the end, but with quite a cool catch of Twisted Bliss into a Samoan drop for the end.
Yeah, it was a nice finish, but man, they were in the death spot after that opener.
On the second, this is the third match if you include the kickoff.
I remember
that shouldn't be a death spot.
After the Seth Miz match, I almost wrote in my notes, man, I feel sorry for whoever's next. And when I saw the detail, I was like, oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, but they failed spectacularly. And it's not just them two.
Yeah.
Both of them were pretty bad, I thought. It was the agenting and the booking of the match as well that they were presumably told to go out and wrestle.
I completely agree.
And after this, pretty rubbish match, which didn't connect with the crowd because, like I said, everyone wants to see Nia destroy Bliss. That's the story you've been telling. The bully is finally going to get their comeuppance. And what happened was Alexa beat Nia for 9 minutes and just get beaten at the end herself. Nia cuts such an awkward and staged promo about
booed
how
for it as well.
Yeah, well, she got booed because she won first off, and then she was booed because she was talking about anti-bullying and how you can stand up for yourself, and it was a bad promo on her part. It was a badly scripted promo. It was a terrible idea to do in front of like the smartest New York crowd you're going to find.
New Jersey,
the shadow of New York, New Jersey. And then afterwards, Michael Cole reels off all the WWE charity endeavours that they do for anti-bullying. Be a star. Such horrible nonsense. It made me want to go out and find the wimpiest kid I could find and bully the crap out of them.
what you wanted to find was when you and I go to Comic-Con
and find some Yu-Gi-Oh players.
you want to find these Yu-Gi-Oh players that wind you up so much and you just want to nuggy them.
It's just, I think everyone should be able to be into what they want. It's fine, but there's just something about watching those Yu-Gi-Oh players. I just want to kick over the table.
I did start watching Yu-Gi-Oh though recently because it's all on Netflix and it's quite an enjoyable little show, to be honest.
I'm going to bully you.
It's utter nonsense, but it's quite enjoyable, mostly because the voice acting's hilarious.
But this was such a bad promo and just a rubbish, transparent. Oh, everything's so nice and happy. This is this would never happen in the Attitude Era. I'm not saying let's go back to the Attitude Era, but this was kid-friendly nonsense, and even kids would feel patronised by it.
I will disagree with you there because I don't think this is kid-friendly nonsense. What this is, it's investor nonsense. This is WWE put on this storyline so they could show to their investors and say, like, look, here's what we are doing on our TV show to also promote Be a Star and with all the stuff that we're doing with the Be a Star anti-bullying campaign. And look how we seamlessly tied our wrestling storyline into our into our corporate message. Now, if that was the plan, because I was thinking about this on the way here, we should have seen this coming. As soon as they start doing this bullying stuff, we should have seen this is just a transparent way of promoting Be a Star. I don't know why we didn't see it coming. But anyway, if this was the aim, was to just like, hey, look how awesome Be a Star is, so you can show this to investors. Don't do the plug for it. Just say, look, we did this anti-bullying storyline on TV. So you in a boardroom where the audience aren't there, you can show to your investors, here's what we did on our wrestling show, and this is how it ties into our campaign over here. Don't have Michael Cole essentially tell you that's what this was all about. Was like, hey, how great is Be a Star? Look at all the great stuff that we have done. It made me hate this feud, and I've actually quite enjoyed this feud. But it made me hate it because now I realise that all it was propaganda nonsense for their anti-bullying campaign.
Well, let's be honest here. Jax is not a good champion.
She hasn't got off to a good start.
I hate to say it. We know the history here. All the good stuff about this feud has been Bliss's Moment of Bliss promos. Nia's character, since she's won the title, is just not interesting at the moment. And this was a terrible next chapter for her. To cap off this feud with that promo, it's nowhere near the levels of Roman Reigns' character killing, but good grief, try and take her seriously as a monster after this.
Well, the other side of this as well is that, well, I don't think they are trying to have you take her seriously as a monster, because she's not a monster. She's herself. Her whole promo was like, you just be yourself, don't be who people tell you to be. She's not meant to be a monster babyface. She's just meant to be Nia Jax, I guess, a babyface. But and I've forgotten the point I was going to make now, but like the thing with Nia Jax is that this is what I was going to say. What I feel that they did was, going into WrestleMania, they made the decision, Nia Jax is going to be our champion. All this time we've been building up to Nia Jax winning the belt.
She should be.
And she should be. The problem was, they didn't think about what the next step was. They basically wrote a storyline up until she won, and now they're like, cool, now what? And now they haven't really... Because what's she done on Raw since winning the belt?
Be on commentary.
She's done nothing. She's done absolute sweet FA since winning the belt. Alexa Bliss has been on TV all the time. Nia hasn't, really. Nia came out and chased Alexa away. She sat on commentary one time, and I think she had a tag match. But she's done nothing as champion so far. And as you said, all the brilliance of this feud has been Alexa Bliss's moments of bliss and all the great stuff that she's been doing there. And the question is now who the next challenger is, and I guess it's Ruby Riott, maybe. Because Riott won.
Ember Moon.
Well, I think it's Ruby Riott, only because she's also got the Riott Squad behind her, so you can do things like having them interfere in matches, and you can tell Nia having to overcome the odds that way, which is a better story to tell other than Ember Moon having another one-on-one feud, I guess.
That is a filler feud if I ever heard one.
Yeah.
So I gave that 1.5 stars on the douchebag scale. I'm kind of thinking that was generous now. Then we got the Samoa Joe, actually 1 star, I think it was. I changed these since... Yeah, it was 1 star. Then we got Samoa Joe giving that big dog into a whimpering puppy promo backstage. Then we got Jeff Hardy beating Randy Orton in a 2-star match I've had. There's... I mean, what is there to talk about here? This was completely missable.
Man, the lack of notes that I have written for this match. I've written, Orton hit an amazing dropkick while Hardy was attempting a springboard. Crowd chanted for Rusev Day. Hardy wins. Like, that's all there is about this match. There was nothing to say about it.
I was quite mesmerised by Jeff Hardy's shirt. It was very shiny. It's kind of Matrix-style early noughties. And I thought Randy wrestled a bit heelish, as he kind of would do just to make the dynamic more interesting. And I thought, God, he needs to be a heel. I'm not really into... Or at least a more badass tweener.
This match felt that the two of them was like, look, we're third on the card. We haven't really had a lot of build going into this. Let's just go out there and have a match. Like, let's just have the safest match. Like, neither of us are going to get hurt. Or speaking of which, Alexa Bliss did get hurt in the... from what I can gather and from what I've read and heard, it was when Nia was throwing her around during her comeback, Alexa Bliss legitimately injured her left shoulder, which I now believe is she's the second person that she's hurt in the ring, because she hurt Bayley last year. Which is, it's not a great run. Alexa Bliss is now... we don't know how long she's going to be out for. But that also throws a bit of a spanner in the works, because it felt like they were building towards a tag team feud of Natty and Ronda against Mickey and Alexa. So that throws a bit of a spanner into those works.
Well, Alexa's such a good talker, I would like to see her be used. Still, don't take her off telly completely. She could just be... She could make that a big thing. Oh, Nia injured me.
Yep.
And walk around for ages being a manager or a backstage personality or something.
Very true. But it shows how little there was to say about this, that as soon as we started talking about it, we talked about something else.
Then we got a completely unneeded segment.
This was on pay-per-view.
Yeah, this is crazy. As if, the Jeff Hardy-Randy Orton match didn't scream TV. You then had this and then the later Braun Strowman tag match. And it's just so forgettable.
And when you go back and think about this segment, and then you remember that the show went 37 minutes or whatever it was past the top of the hour, you're like, oh, yeah, they probably just didn't need to do this bit.
So this was Elias coming out, and he got cheered a lot, even though he was trying to heel it up. But he got some heel heat by saying, Bruce Springsteen, we're good friends. Of course, New Jersey's New York's own, whatever. The shadow of New York, own Bruce Springsteen. And he told me that his only regret is that he's from New Jersey.
Love
and that got a boo. And then there was quite a fun bit where Elias would say, no, you keep applauding, I'm not going to play for you. And he got up and he walked away, and then he walked back. And he effectively did a yay boo spot by walking away and from a chair, which was quite magnificent. But then it's a dual-branded pay-per-view, Luke. I don't know if you knew that.
It's the best of both brands. We won it all!
I've called it the worst of both worlds in my review. And the New Day come out, SmackDown's own The New Day, and they're kind of musical. They get a kind of musical thing going. And then Aiden English's throat-clearing mic bit happens, which I popped for. I was enjoying it up until this part. And then after Rusev Day, out came No Way Jose.
Your favourite.
With his weird sex party, complete with Titus Worldwide in there.
And Breezango.
Bringing up the rear. And it was just like, what is the point of this? This is like the skit version of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal for Backlash. And then, it was so forgettable, and I was a bit tired of it 10 minutes in. It felt like it went 20, 25 minutes, this whole bit. And then the last person to cap off this We All Make Music segment was Bobby Roode appearing in the ring. Glorious gives Elias a DDT, and then he walks out and he does a few babyface dancing comedy bits. And I just thought, Bobby. What the hell has happened?
This feud must continue, I guess.
I forgot they were feuding.
Yeah, remember, he crushed his larynx on Monday.
Nice way to sell it, Bobby.
Well, he's better now.
Yeah.
So, we had, he had some strepsils and he had a bit of a throat lozenge. He was all right after that. But then, this was him getting his retribution. So I guess this feud must continue, and it will continue on to Raw, where they'll most likely have another match tonight.
Christ alive.
Yeah.
Bobby Roode, the heel-dominating NXT champion. One of the most over things in WWE just over a year ago. Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass next.
Let's get into this.
This was a weird one.
Let's get into this.
I thought at the start this looked quite intriguing when they were both in the ring. I liked the visual of the size difference of Big Cass.
Love that.
The baby oil difference of Big Cass.
The
just
tan difference.
Glistening. And Daniel Bryan was a bit smaller in stature. And you got to remember, Big Cass is a hometown boy here.
Wait, no, he's from New York.
Well, the shadow of New York. And he was getting... I thought it was a testament to both of them that Big Cass got booed and Daniel Bryan got cheered a fair bit. But, it was just kind of over before it got going from a tiny tap.
Right, so this match
Here we go. Unleash Luke.
This match was essentially Daniel Bryan would do some stuff, then Cass would hit a slam, or he would do an elbow, or he would do a punch, maybe a boot, and then would pose. And I think this match only went 7 or 8 minutes.
I've got 7 minutes.
7 minutes? It felt like it went longer. It was dreadfully boring.
It felt like it went longer, and also it felt like nothing happened and it was over really quickly.
Yeah. Actually, that's a really good way to put it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's an incredible way to put it. But it was utterly just useless. And then at the end of it, so I said in the predictions that I think that Big Cass is going to win here because it's a win that sort of makes sense. Bryan can easily overcome this. If you're extending out this program, you can have Bryan overcome the big guy at the end because that's the story you're telling. Is that Cass thinks that he is tall, and then particularly if he cheats to win, he can still say, I am tall and I beat the small person, doing that fake heelish thing of just hey, no, I did beat you fair and square, and then Bryan overcomes him right at the end. But that's not the story that apparently they're telling, I guess. Because this is Big Cass's return match from his injury. It's a new character for him. It's a new brand for him. It's the first thing he's done since splitting away from Enzo Amore. It's Daniel Bryan's singles return after having a pretty lousy match at WrestleMania, though through no fault of his own.
Pay-per-view singles return.
Pay-per-view singles return. And it was we don't really want Daniel Bryan to lose. And it just reminded me of... Do you remember in CM Punk's second interview he did with Colt Cabana on Cabana's podcast?
You mean the best shoot interview of all time?
Well, the second best one, because his first one was the best shoot interview of all time, but the second one wasn't quite as good. But the second one, he told the story of when he was in a feud with The Shield. And I can't remember the exact, I'm sure someone will let me know, but I'm pretty sure he was booked in a 3-on-1 handicap match against The Shield. And they said to Punk, you're going over in the match, but you've got to make Roman look strong. And Punk's exact words were, well, why doesn't Roman win then? If you want Roman to win, have him win. Have him beat me. Don't have me beat him, but make him look strong. And that is exactly what happened here. They went into this match, they were like, well, we don't want Bryan to lose in his singles pay-per-view return, but we also don't want Big Cass to lose any heat. So make Cass look really strong, and then beat him, but then Cass is just going to attack you afterwards. So nothing is achieved here. Cass didn't get over because he lost clean. He tapped out straight away. As soon as the yes lock was locked in, he tapped out. So now I can't buy him as a big guy because he looks like a complete and utter chump. And Bryan doesn't gain anything because he just got flattened out afterwards. So Big Cass stands tall. So what was gained here? Nothing was gained here. It's booking yourself into a corner. Oh, we don't want Cass to lose, but we don't want Bryan to win either. But we have to have Bryan win, but make Cass look strong. You can't have it both ways. And in the end, it made me hate this so much. This was probably the thing I hated the most on this. And as I said in the predictions, I wanted Bryan to win because I like Daniel Bryan and I'm not the biggest fan of Big Cass. But really, and if this was going to be a one and done, great, have Bryan win. But if you're extending out this feud, which apparently they are doing, don't have Cass lose straight away. Because what's Bryan going to do now? What if Bryan beats him again? Cool, you've already beaten him. It's just stupid.
What Luke said. What Luke said.
Oh,
yes.
man. I'll
You
probably,
okay, man?
No, it's fine. I mean, I'll probably get some heat for it in the comments. But
No,
yeah,
everything you said is completely right. It's just, why book it?
Yeah, exactly.
Why book that match
Yeah.
when you've got two guys coming back from injury? It's not like Big Cass needs that Daniel Bryan singles match to get him over. It'd be a lot more effective to make him crush and squash some people lower down the card first. Build them both on a run against each other to collide further down the line.
Yeah, if your aim here is to get Big Cass over, this is not the way to do it.
So from Big Cass to his Big X, I believe they've broken up now.
Well, I was actually going to mention this earlier, but I think they're broken up. Because I was going to make the comment that they've both gone to the same tanning salon because they were both as orange as each other.
So Carmella beat Charlotte next in another one-star match.
This was very bad.
This was so boring.
So boring.
Because Carmella, it was just headlock, arm bar thingy. And not like how Asuka would put on something or how Zack Sabre Jr. would transition from hold to hold. This isn't a 40-minute Suzuki submission masterpiece.
Are you trying to tell me that Carmella is not on the same level as Zack Sabre Jr.?
Yeah, I'm hot take. I know I'm going to get some heat in the comments for that. But Carmella, just like the Nia Jax and the Alexa Bliss match from earlier, Carmella took 90% of this match in rest holds, but then usually that would mean Charlotte would win. Because WWE've got this really frustrating style of booking matches and laying out matches at the moment where the person who's losing takes 90% of the match. It's kind of like a way to keep both people at the same level in the same way as the Bryan Big Cass post-match beatdown angle was done. But here, Charlotte just lost. She did a moonsault, she sold her knee, Carmella rolled her up and won. There was no interference from the Iconics. This was a clean victory for Carmella. I bet Asuka is delighted that her undefeated streak was ended by Charlotte. The next 2 nights after that, Charlotte, or was it a week after? It was very soon after Charlotte lost that title, and then she lost clean to Carmella at the following pay-per-view. Yeah, it's awful. And it's awful booking. It's an awful result, and it was a rubbish match.
And the story they were telling with Carmella was that Carmella, she had to have the Iconics beat her down at ringside because she's been trying to cash in her Money in the Bank for months now, but has never found the right opportunity to do it because Charlotte has always got back up, and Carmella knows she can't beat Charlotte in a one-on-one out and about. And that's not to say anything against Carmella. It's a character thing. As a character, she is not on the same level as Charlotte, and that's a great little character thing to tell. The undeserving champion. So she cashed in. The ultimate opportunist, she cashed in at the right time when Charlotte could barely stand, and she won the belt. So that's grand. That's the story you're telling. So why in this match did she win clean? Because now she's just shown she is better than Charlotte.
And took 90%.
And took 90% of the match.
And it really takes me out of it as well, because I know Charlotte is, and just the way WWE have presented her, Charlotte is much, much better than Carmella. And Carmella isn't doing anything in the match to impress me. So why is Charlotte being dominated?
Yeah.
Does that mean... It means Charlotte's bad. It doesn't bring Carmella up at all. It drags Charlotte down into this abyss of being called up too early. Carmella's a great promo. She's a great character.
Yeah.
She's got a good moonwalk. But this was not a good performance.
This was quite bad. This was quite bad.
Okay.
Right. And now we could...
A bit of goodness. A bit of goodness.
Until the end.
AJ retained against Shinsuke Nakamura in a no-dick disqualification match.
Nice jokes.
Thank you, man. I worked for ages on that.
Banter around here.
Boob jokes and dick jokes. This is your guy. This is your guy. So I really enjoyed this match, like you already foreshadowed, up until the finish. And I didn't hate the finish. It was just on a show of loads of other crappy finishes. I think this finish would have been fine if we didn't have Greatest Royal Rumble.
Well, that's the problem with this. This is our third AJ Styles Shinsuke Nakamura match within a month, and the one at WrestleMania wasn't what we thought it would be. It was actually a really average match. I haven't watched it back out of context to just watch it in a vacuum, so I don't know whether it's actually okay if you just watch that one match on its own, but I didn't think it was a particularly great match. The match at Greatest Royal Rumble, much better outing, but had a really rubbish finish. And then this match was the same story. A really good match, but a rubbish finish. And I was thinking about this. If AJ and Nakamura were allowed to have the same sort of match that Rollins and Miz had at the start of the night, where you kick out of each other's finishes and you do these big high spots, and you have a finish, we probably would get the Shinsuke Nakamura AJ Styles match that we thought we were going to get at WrestleMania. But they haven't been allowed to have that match. The match at WrestleMania didn't have that. The match at Greatest Royal Rumble didn't have that. And this match didn't have it either. And then the last two have had these absolutely awful, awful finishes. Just, this was I hated the finish of this.
So I do disagree. I think this would have been a good... So I wish this feud played out as WrestleMania Dream Match. Shinsuke turns. The next time they wrestle each other is Backlash. So you don't get the Greatest Royal Rumble thing. And then you do, effectively, the Greatest Royal Rumble match to set up the no DQ match. And then you can have a better match down the line. That means you've got 2 months... Three matches spread over 2 months rather than just a single month. And you kind of know the second rematch is going to have a screwy finish. I expected a screwy finish from Greatest Royal Rumble. But having to put the next chapter just a week out from your kind of end of your other chapter has really skewered the storytelling.
Completely agree.
And it's just like within a really poor show with a lot of other crappy finishes, this just was... like WWE rubbing salt in the universe's wounds. But I thought the match itself was really entertaining.
Really good.
Nakamura as a heel is... It feels like he could have the same matches with everyone that he's had matches with before. And you don't always get this when people turn heel. Sometimes it just feels like they're doing the same match, but they occasionally cheat. Nakamura's entire physicality, the way he wrestles, the way he carries himself has changed. So when he has these matches against people, they feel like it's a completely fresh matchup. Like these two people have never faced each other before. So I really, really enjoy Nakamura. I don't know if this has been brought up before, but I only noticed it here. The foot choke in the corner. Corey called it bad vibrations, which I was a big fan of. But yeah, it's a shame that AJ, like you said, AJ and Nakamura haven't had that dream match. But I do feel like that is coming, but that will come at the end of the story. And this, to me, was never the end of the story. But it's just typical WWE. Oh, you want that dream match? Here it is 3 times in a month.
Well, that's the other side of it is that they are just sort of driving this into the ground. And you are right in that we've essentially had the 3-match story. Only we've had the second match twice.
Yes.
And that really is the problem with this. And once we can have that match where they're allowed to have the way you kick out of each other's finishes and do all this, we might finally get the AJ Nakamura match that we've been wanting to see. Because I thought this was a really good match. What I really, really liked about this match, actually, was that it was a no DQ match, but for the first 75-80% of it, it was just a match.
I forgot it was a no DQ match.
Exactly, and that's why I kind of liked it. It's like the people always praise the Shawn Michaels Razor Ramon ladder match from WrestleMania because the ladder isn't really they wrestle. It's another element to it. But this is like they were having a match, and then Nakamura goes and gets the chair. He's the first person to introduce something that is no DQ within the match. But it
was 10 minutes in that chair.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
And but as other people have pointed out, one of the issues with this is that they had the double count-outs at Greatest Royal Rumble, and essentially they just had another double count-out here, only this time they were in the ring after they both just kicked each other in the dick and fell down. But my point is, AJ's he's an effing moron. Like, week after week since WrestleMania, match after match, week after week on SmackDown, he has been hitting the nuts. Like, it's that phrase of like, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. AJ, man, like how many times has he got to be hitting the nuts before he's like, oh, I should probably wear a cup because he most likely will try and hit me in the nuts during this match. He just comes across as a moron for not thinking of this.
Yeah, I agree. I did like when Nakamura did the first low blow and everyone was like, oh, there it was.
Yeah.
AJ just quickly gets his own low blow and the crowd went crazy for that. I popped huge.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a rubbish finish.
Yeah, it's not good having the same match twice, and it's amazing. It's just kind of amazing how this company can take a feud like AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura and just make you not care about it anymore.
So I gave that 3.75.
So incredible, this company.
Not to say that I do still care about it. This is my favourite feud still.
I'm losing interest.
But it's more because of Nakamura's character. Like, I'm just so into Nakamura's character.
I really like Nakamura's character, but I'm quickly losing interest in this feud because it is, as you quite rightly pointed out, it's that WWE thing of just like, hey, we've got a feud, so you have to have 3 matches and a pay-per-view. Problem is we're going to have 4 because we had to have the Albatross that was the greatest Royal Rumble, and it has made me care less about it.
So then we got a Best of Both Worlds promo. You can play that in America. And then we got Bobby Lashley, Bobby Strawn.
No, you had it right the first time.
Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. You know how you said it was the Daniel Bryan match that irked you most? Mm-hmm. For some reason,
this is the one that irked you.
This is the one that got me. I don't know why, because it couldn't be more throwaway.
I know.
We got this match just 2 weeks ago. It is completely inconsequential. Maybe that's why it got to me so much.
This really got to me as well.
This was so bad.
Do you know what as well? You know when AJ and Nakamura went third from the top and had that double countout spot? I was just like, oh, Roman's winning in the main event.
All the people.
I was like, oh man, my predictions are so off the mark because Roman is definitely winning in the main event now.
Because by the way, Luke lost 4 out of 8 predictions.
Is it really
correct?
4 out of 8?
Yeah. So I'll run through them. So it was a double count out for AJ and Nakamura. We both picked AJ, so nothing
that
there.
Doesn't count.
We both got Seth Rollins. We both got Jeff Hardy. We both got Nia Jax. We both got Carmella. I got Roman Reigns.
Yep.
So you only had a double DQ.
Yep.
I had Daniel Bryan. You had Big Cass.
Yep.
And we both got the tag match wrong because
that's
we both
5.
said... No, it's 4. You got Seth Rollins, Jeff Hardy, Nia Jax, and Carmella.
And the tag match?
No, you got the tag match wrong. We both did. Sami Zayn and...
I'm pretty sure I said Braun and Bobby.
Oh, look at that. Strowman and Lashley. I've written down my... Well, hey, the story isn't here that you got 5 out of 8.
No.
The story here is that I got 7 out of 8.
Well done you, sir.
Anyway.
Not
like anything comes of that.
No.
So
just ask all those the January predictions you got wrong, and the February and March predictions.
Something will happen soon, I'm sure. So yes, this match. First of all, it felt like an episode of Raw, and this is the second match to the end. So it's the penultimate match. You don't really want that feel, even though it is a buffer match. I understand that you don't want it to feel like an episode of Raw, and the match was Bobby getting worked over by Sami and Kevin Owens. Obviously, because that's all Bobby Lashley does. And then Bobby hot tags Braun. Braun does his usual run through Kevin Owens, chases down Zayn, runs through Kevin Owens again. And then this was the bit that got me so much. Sami Zayn goes to walk away and Owens is like, what are you doing, man? Get back in there.
We need to fight.
Yeah, and I had flashbacks of when they walked out of the European tour. Do you remember that on SmackDown last year? And apparently there was heat. They were sent home early. But Owens was like, no, we need to get in there and fight. And Sami's like, okay, let's do this. Whoa, roll you in. So he rolls in Owens and Strowman beats up him. And then they do that a few more times and eventually Strowman wins. And then Sami leaves Owens in there to get power slam some more. It's just, why would Kevin Owens want to fight them? His character is to run away with them. They are so much better together as when they're on the same page, like a Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho partnering, where they're just being stupid, horrible heels. And again, they've just moved over to Raw. They do have main event potential. Kevin Owens was a Universal Champion for a number of months. Like 9 months he held that thing, and here he is, just being used as fodder for Braun Strowman. Which, I'm not against Strowman having fodder, but this is really to the detriment of 2 of my favourite guys in the company.
It's almost like WWE looked at the Bayley and Banks feud and was like, oh, do you know what, that's working so well, let's definitely do that with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Because they spent quite a bit of time on SmackDown sort of feuding with each other, but also tagging with each other. And then come to WrestleMania, you're like, well, actually, we need them to be a tag team. So now they're the best. Now they're the best of mates again. So they were the best of mates again for WrestleMania. And then they went over to Raw, and they were like, cool. Now they're going to stay the best of mates. And then they get to this match, it's like, oh, but now they're arguing with each other again. I'm like, I don't know what these characters are anymore. It was a really, like, it's detrimental booking in terms of, like, the story that you're trying to tell. I mean, my notes here are just like, guess what? Bobby got beaten down and then tagged in Braun, who ran wild. Oh, and guess what happened next? Braun charged at someone, they dodged out of the way, and he hit the post. This match was so infuriatingly boring. And then, to cap it off, you had all this Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn nonsense, absolute nonsense within there. Bobby wins with his delayed suplex. The commentators argue over who was the legal man, because apparently it wasn't the person that they pinned. And then, like dicks after the match, Braun and Bobby beat them up still. Be a star, mate. Like Nia cut a promo about this earlier. You beat them fair and square. Why are you beating them up again? It's like, just make them look like absolute dicks after that.
Yeah, so not only does it harm Owens and Zayn, but the crowd were not into this
Not
match,
into it at all.
and they were not into Braun Strowman power slamming Owens.
No.
After the match had finished. So it harmed Strowman a bit, to be honest. It made Strowman just look not big time at all, which
Not
is
at all.
the worst thing you can do, really, because he's the one with the most star potential. So I gave that a 1 star as well.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
An awful, awful show.
Yeah, it
a
was.
really terrible show, and hopefully this is the end of the previous year rather than the start of what's to come. Because I feel like this is always the epilogue part of WrestleMania.
Perhaps.
I'm worried it's the prologue for SummerSlam.
Yeah.
But let's see. But
Well,
it was not promising.
Yeah, we've got Money in the Bank in 6 weeks' time. I mean, you know what happens when Raw and SmackDown have 6 weeks to book something? It tends to go wrong, but maybe it will go right this time. I mean, we joked about it earlier about how we just had to get out of the way of Superstar Shakeup and the draft and Greatest Royal Rumble and Backlash. I'm hoping you're right. Let's hope that tonight's Raw is the start of its new leaf, and it's the next chapter. It's the start chapter 1. Let's kick things off here because we need to move forward towards SummerSlam and beyond. Because this was not a good start. This was a bad show. It's the worst pay-per-view that WWE put on in quite some time. They didn't have a pay-per-view this bad last year, and I can't remember one that was the year previous that might have been this bad. And names of pay-per-views that had Jinder Mahal as WWE, like a Punjabi prison match. I think the worst pay-per-view in the Observer Awards was Battleground, which was the Punjabi prison show.
I quite liked that. Was quite fun though from a stupid bit. This
exactly.
was just infuriating.
This pay-per-view was so much worse than that. So much worse. A bad show.
Well, that's all we've got time for today. Please click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk videos. Subscribe to this channel here and click this little box to get the podcast version of the WrestleRamble with exclusive intros and outros. Totally free wherever you get your podcasts from. This has been Luke Owen. I've been Ollie Davis. And that was Rambling.